Hi, I'm Jim from Campfire Questions 911, and today we're going to talk about how to back up a trailer without getting a divorce. Um, I've got my camera shy wife here with me. We're going to toss around some ideas that we use to help us back in a trailer and not get into an argument to do it. So let's get started.
We have a travel trailer. Is there much difference between backing up a motorhome, a travel trailer, and a fifth wheel?
Absolutely. The main difference is the pivot point. The pivot point for a motorhome is generally the center of that motorhome. When you get into a travel trailer, um, your pivot point becomes your hitch. And so you've got to think about it as you're going backwards, that it's not going to spin necessarily where your truck spins,
Because the hitch is behind the truck.
because the hitch is behind the truck.
Oh,
Yes. Um, it's a little bit better for a fifth wheel because your hitch point, your connection point, is in the middle of the truck bed. So that's the center point that's spinning around. But with a travel trailer, you really have to have a fair amount of swing room in order to be able to get that thing into a campsite
without jackknifing it.
without jackknifing it. Absolutely.
What do you think is the most important skill when backing up a travel trailer in our instance?
Um, Patience, patience, patience.
Maybe communication?
Communication as well. Um, you know, for most of us, we're not professionals, and so as a result, uh, it's very important that we communicate. Uh, we hope that most of you out there have someone to help you back in. You're not trying to do it by yourself. Some people do it; they do it very well. But for most of us, you have a helper, whether she's your spouse or significant other, and um, so the important point here is making sure that you have some way to communicate loud and clear, very quickly, between what's going on behind the trailer and what you need to know sitting in the cab of the truck. When I was a kid, my parents used to haul a trailer, and there was no technology in those days. And so, my mother would do one of these and one of these and one of these, and three times out of five, they would end up in a little argument to get the trailer into the campsite.
Is that where those shirts come from? Sorry for what I said when backing up the camper.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of schools of thought as far as communications. One is to use your cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone, and that works, except where self-service doesn't work. That's problem number one.
Cell
Problem,
coverage is bad.
so yes, and so problem number two that we've run into is there is frequently about a 1 second delay between when my wife says something and when I hear it. So if she says stop before I run into a tree, I may not hear it before I run into the tree.
Yeah, I've pounded on the camper a couple times to get you to stop.
Yeah, so what we've started doing is using walkie talkies. They're cheap. Um, we have them. We keep them charged, and we make sure that uh, each of us knows what the other is doing at any point in time. She has not backed up the trailer, so part of this whole process she doesn't really understand. So the quicker she can get me information so that I can react to it, the better.
Yeah, that's very true. There have been a few times when because I wasn't really sure where we were headed, had you go backwards and forwards, I think a dozen times before we actually got to a place.
And I think there were some four-letter words in there too. So
There might have been. There might have been. That's
yeah,
absolutely true.
communications is very important. Um, if you've never done, if you've never backed up a trailer at all, and you're strongly considering buying one, I would suggest taking it into an empty shopping center or a school parking lot and try it again and again and again until you can pretty comfortably get yourself backed into the equivalent of a campsite. You don't buy it and immediately go on the road without any idea of how to do it.
We did that even with the first one we rented. We took it to an empty parking lot just to get a feel for how it reacted with our tow vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I think one of the things that's been helpful for me was when you explained to me not to say left or right, but to say driver or passenger.
Yeah, I picked it up from one of the many, many YouTubers that I've been following for years, that you don't want to say left and right because it differs depending on where your wife is standing in your perspective. And so she always says now if something is on the driver's side or the left side facing forward, the driver's side. If something's on the other side, she says passenger side. And that way instantly my brain knows which side to look for, which side I need to point the back of the trailer.
And when I'm telling you driver or passenger, I'm telling you the direction usually that I want you to go, which is different from how you would normally be steering.
Well, when you tell me I want you to go driver's side, that means to me that I want the back end of the trailer to go towards the driver's side.
Exactly.
When I grab the wheel, when you're towing a trailer, when you back up, your hand should be at the bottom of your steering wheel, not the top. That's part of the difference. And so I grab the wheel and I would pull it to the left, and that would change the perspective so that I'm backing up towards the driver's side. Yeah. So as I was saying, that the perspective that the person in the back of the rig provides to the driver is absolutely critical for figuring out what direction the driver needs to point the back of the trailer to get it in the site.
Okay, when we get to a new campsite or get to a campsite, there's always things you tell me I need to make sure to look for to get you in the right position.
Yeah, well, we get to a site, we usually pull basically up to the site itself, and we both stop and get out of the truck and go take a look at the site. And what we're looking for is, where is the power pedestal? Where is the water connection, the fresh water connection? Most importantly, where is the sewer connection? Because that's, generally speaking, your shortest hose.
Yeah, kind of like the first time you took me camping and you told me that, and I kept thinking it was only 3 feet long, and so I kept trying to get you closer and closer and making you do it again and again and again. Now I know better.
Yeah, I mean, even if you've got two or sometimes even 3 sewer hoses, it's still generally shorter than your electric cord or your water, your fresh water hose. So that's very important. You know, where is the center point that you're aiming for? Make sure you're both on the same page for where that is, whether it's a concrete pad or gravel or whatever that is. And then both of you look up. Look for
Right.
obstructions.
Tree branches.
You're going to be so busy looking at where is the camper in the site that you're going to forget to look up before the camper goes into the site to see, are there trees and overhanging branches that could potentially tear your roof as you're backing in. That would be a very expensive mistake if you tear your roof and certainly ruin your camping trip. So.
You know, when you're backing up, when I'm outside the camper or outside of the truck and you've gotten back in and you're going to drive to now forward so that you can back into the space, you know, it's not a problem if we ever get to pull-throughs, but they're not every place and they're hard to get. But
Right.
when you're backing into a spot, you have me tell you when when the trailer gets to a certain point.
Yeah, because of the turning axis of the trailer, which is different than the turning axis of a fifth wheel, which is different than the turning axis of a motorhome. For us, with our travel trailer, I usually have you tell you have
No,
tongue
no.
twister. I have you tell me when the back bumper of the trailer is starting to go by the site, because I can't always tell where the back of the trailer is. And so, when the bumper gets towards the edge of the site, that's when I stop, put it in reverse, and begin the big swing around. If I don't get that information, I will usually stop ahead of time and end up on the driver's side of the campsite and have to do it 2 or 3 times. So
And there's
it's-
actually nothing wrong with having to adjust
No,
once we're getting into a site.
absolutely not.
I mean, we've been in campgrounds that were so tight that you had to go around and try to come at it from the other angle in order to get the backup
Oh, yeah.
position you needed.
Yeah, I mean, most of us aren't professionals, and many of these campgrounds are built by amateurs.
And there are also a lot of them are older.
Yeah,
I mean, the newer ones, especially the luxury resorts, they have so much space sometimes that it's not an issue. Okay. There seems to be some newer technology that's now available even to attach to older rigs that can help, right?
yeah. I mean, a lot of the newer fifth wheels and travel trailers, as well as motorhomes, will have a backup camera. For many of the more expensive ones, it comes pre-wired and ties into a screen up in the driver's console. For the rest of us that don't have one that was part of our rig, they have them even aftermarket through Amazon and other places. We bought one for around $100. It's got a magnetic mount that mounts to the bumper on the camper and has a wireless connection to a screen up in the cab of the truck. So I have a backup screen that looks just like, if you put your car in reverse and you've got a backup screen for that. So that helps as well. I wouldn't suggest getting rid of any help that you have.
What?
Two-legged help.
I'm not out of job yet?
No, I don't think you're out of work yet. So, all right. Well, I want to thank everybody for your time, and certainly ask that you like and subscribe to our channel. We're still new here, and obviously we certainly need all the help we can get. But we're going to continue to bring stories and anecdotal information, hopefully to help you with your camping adventures. Everybody have a good day, and